now, the moment that we understand this is no longer okay, because I am moving forward, I'm not going backward, and I want to try to, recollect myself. Hey, how do we begin to fix these things that we're no longer okay with? And then secondly, let's not feel bad about saying something other than what we said before, especially if it's going to preserve us and put us in a position where we can still, be better for ourselves. So how do we begin to do that? Can we have some ideas as to once that stuff is done and we decide, hey, no more, we have to, one, be okay with, hey, no more. And then secondly, we have to be okay for ourselves that we've decided, hey, I said no more. And like Kortni said earlier, it doesn't have to be said maliciously, or it doesn't have to be, in an ill fashion, but we can be confident about who we are. That confidence does not mean that we are these negative things that other people attach to us. We don't have to be that, nor do we have to deliver it in such a way. But I think our greatest obligation is to ourselves and being okay with the decisions that we make, because if we're not, we end up feeling depleted. We end up feeling robbed. We end up feeling taken away from. And no, I don't know anybody that likes to feel like that, especially taken for granted.
Tish said that was a sermon. I'm just like, because it reminds me of life is a perpetual cycle of change. So when your kids are little, that's a season for your life. When your kids are teenagers, that's a different season. When your kids are young adults, another change. If they become married and have children and now you're a grandparent, there's changes over time through life. And if your boundaries or guardrails change over time, that is okay. Because again, we are in this constant space of becoming and unbecoming. You say your affirmations to yourself, you say them out loud, you say them, you write them in a journal. It's okay when you say I radiate love and openness, because that's what you want to receive more of. And I always tell my friends, I know right now you may be down in the valley, but I need you to write down 5 to 10 things that are your strongest accomplishments in life, and refer back to those to remind you how dope you are. And when you start reading that over time and really like building in space and baking in your meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like as far as a schedule for you, and maybe you don't need a schedule, but I'm one that if you do not set specific time and somewhat schedule it, it won't happen. And so to your point, Tish, no is a complete sentence, and we don't have to be nasty with no. We can be very confident with it. And it is okay if your guardrails or your boundaries change over time. My guardrails at the age of 25 were very different than they are at my age of 50. And I own every year. And I am grateful for every year, every month, every day. And I just know that the more you pour into yourself, it is not a space of conceit. It is not a space of, ooh, you so bougie. Ooh, you so snooty. No, ma'am, I'm just pouring into myself so I can continue to move through this world with love. And when you feel that inside, how are you going to be hateful? Come on.
That's right.
How are we going to move in such yuckiness? I'd rather move in that space of yummy. Thank you, Kortni. and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay if your boundaries, guardrails change over time, because you're fabulous, you are phenomenal, and that's just what it is. And I'm grateful for what it is, and I'm happy for what it's not,
Yeah, that's
Can
good.
I just piggyback just real quick? I don't know what our time is looking like, but I wanted to kind of go back to what Tish was saying and then bring it back to Melissa. Okay, so Tish was saying about how society sometimes gives this image of how Black women portray, how we give off our boundaries. How do we demonstrate this is a boundary? Okay, you have come into my space. I am offended and I don't want you here. Right. So I believe when I pay attention to what's happening around me, something that's really caught my attention is reality TV. Mm-hmm. I believe they are making money off of an image of us that is not always positive.
Absolutely.
They are making money off by showing us in a light that says when Black women are frustrated, when we are upset and uncomfortable, then we don't know how to respond in a way that's respectful, in a way that's well thought out, and it's just out of control, right? Mm-hmm. So my concern, I won't say fear because I don't believe God gives us the spirit of fear, right. But my concern is that younger women,
right?
Because when I think about self-care, I'm not just thinking about myself. Contrary to the way that it sounds, I'm trying to build up myself to be an example for them to follow, yes. To bring more into our fold.
Yes.
So when I talk about setting the boundaries, society is saying Black women set up boundaries by acting up, by showing out, by cursing, by throwing things, by being rude. And it can be funny for the moment, right. But long term, it's not funny.
Right.
It's not a joke. And that's not the way we are going to survive and thrive and become better and become stronger, not by showing out.
Right.
So I don't get my confidence, and I encourage younger women not to believe that you get confidence or you grow by behaving in that manner. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you where I get confidence.
All right, girl, let's
now, I see an older couple, a man and a woman in their 70s or 80s. You can tell they're quite old and they're not moving very fast, but they're still there, right? And you just see so many people. You see young people running and they, with energy, and some are fit, some are overweight. You just see all the colors of the rainbow, all of our people out there in the fresh air at the park together, exercising, taking care of ourselves. That to me that's where I get my confidence. So when I set my boundaries and I tell people this is the way that I'm choosing to live my life, so that I can be a better mom, a better woman, so that I can give back to my community, I get my confidence from my people.
Okay. Absolutely. I think that you, going back to what you were saying about reality TV, this is a little sidebar, but not too far off. It's just, they have painted such a picture, especially for these younger generations, that this is the life. This is what it is. And it's not. Like, I always tell my daughter, who was a teenager, like, this is not real life. Don't be fooled by what you see on TV, because they get paid to act a fool, do whatever they got to do, and they're getting paid from it. You have to remember who you are, what you stand for. And again, just going back to knowing who you surround yourself with, your tribe. A tribe should start early too. It's not just once you get older and you're in a different journey of life. Like, I feel like that's your foundation too. The people, and yes, people will fall off here and there in your journey of life, but you still have that foundation of friends who's there, who's been there through thick and thin. It might be one, it might be two, it might be more than that. Who knows? But just start yourself. Get a good niche of friends. I've seen. Just watching her grow and going through school and stuff, and they don't take friendship as serious as we did back in the day. You could be friends today, y'all ain't talking tomorrow, back to it the next week. And I'm like, don't live your life going back to setting expectations. You don't want to start that now, and then when you get to be an older woman, a mother, a wife, whatever, you still carrying those old habits. Find yourself a good set of friends who can encourage you along the way and build you up, so that when you do get older, you have somebody to fall back on. You're not looking around like, where everybody go? Because there's nobody here. Now you're stuck being overwhelmed and you can't take care of yourself, and you have, you're trying to find time to self-care, but you can't because you feel like there's nobody there to help you. So I think that was a just a good highlight about reality TV versus the real reality of life, because it's totally different.
Can I add something? You all are on fire. I was going to say that just recently a friend shared that, how do I say, people aren't there for her, and people don't come out for her, and they don't support her. And she does this, and for everyone, and no one does anything for her. And I don't know if the Holy Spirit jumped in my body or it was too much tequila, but I told her, I don't think you have a good, firm foundation of friends to support you because you haven't been one. And
hold on, stop, pause right there. Back up, okay. Rewind. Can you repeat that for those of us that need to hear that?
Oh, I said, I don't think you have a good, strong foundation, firm foundation of friends because you haven't been one.
That's good though. That's good.
And I think it was so shocking to her because she thinks she has been. And I know she hasn't. And I've had to decide to just, as my grandmother would say, feed him with a long-handled spoon.
That's right.
Because I would start trying to rationalize their behavior, but it's never going to make sense to me. And I don't need to spend energy on picking apart or judging what they do or what they say. Who cares? Okay. That is not serving me. So I had to release that back into the universe, but I wanted to be clear that she knew that what I said came from me to her. So that took out all the guesswork. Secondly, I wanted to add, and I don't know even if this fits in the conversation, but I'm feeling led to say it, that self-care is different for Renee. It's different for Tish. It's different from Kortni and Melissa. And self-care is self-made, flat out. However it looks for you, it works because you created it and it speaks your language. And over time, you may flip it, remix it. And that's great too, because you're in tune with what you need. And there are days where, I'll be honest, I don't get to do all the things I've done, but preparing for graduation and preparing for family and preparing for, are you vaccinated? Have you worn your mask? Like all those things. I haven't done all my things steadily over the past 3 days. I'll be honest, it just got busy. But coming back into my space, which is being used as a guest room right now, oh, I came in here an hour and a half early, sprayed my plants, lit my incense, let me turn on my air diffuser, let me put on a little light jest. Just those little things, setting the stage so that when I walked in here in my jammy jams, that I was going to be like, ooh, this feels like me, And so I said, Melissa, this is your self-care for the day. You are going to be speaking with these beautiful women. You may have a little cocktail or a fabulous bottle of H2O. You have your space that you love, and your family's being quiet while you're speaking with these ladies. So this is my self-care for today.
Absolutely. You gotta take it where you can get it. Exactly.
Take it where you can get it, and don't judge yourself if you can't. It'll come another day because you're going to prioritize that. So Kortni has given me language over the years, and I mean years as in we've known each other since 2005, and she has taught me so much. And I just thank God for her friendship and sisterhood, because some days Kortni knows I can be a Kortni, I tried to bury her, child. As of the older years, my 40s and on, I just tried to temper that because it's not fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that friend who didn't have a firm foundation of friends. So I had to switch some things up. People don't like mean people.
No, that's right. That's right.
And you cannot, that's such a lonely space. So I'm hopeful that my friend or former friend, acquaintance, now will find her way, but I have realized it's not my work to do her work for her.
And I can guarantee she remembered. I bet that she will remember what you said, and she will apply it going forward. She's thinking about that thing, because you don't just say something, especially coming from certain people. Certain people are not going to just say stuff just to make it sound, to be harsh or, So she's going to take that, and
you are so right. And I had to think it out. I wrote it out. I practiced it, and I was like, I probably won't have any time because I'm not going anywhere. COVID, I'm still masking up. And then we had a conversation, and I was like, and it just came out. But I felt so free.
Yes, girl.
Thank you, God. Like, whoo, I don't have to carry that.
Weight lift is gone, right? Absolutely.
I think it's important that you mentioned that too, only because one of the things that I've learned to do in my own journey of self-care is not to take on other people's mess. Because other people will try to make you responsible for their woes and for the things that are not working for them.
That's
and then while they're busy not managing themselves, now they're leaning on you to manage them. And then that's not fair to you, because at that point, if you're trying to manage your own stuff that comes with you in your life, and now you're taking on other stuff, how do we begin to unburden ourselves? I don't want to be a burden on someone, and I don't want someone to burden on me. And I don't mean that when someone calls and they need you, that you're not there. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that person that really is, consumed with all the things that are not great in their lives. And then they try to unload it all on you and welcome you in that space. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So for those of us that, are in the habit of taking on other people's stuff, we need to free ourselves, and we need to dismiss it in such a way where we're not dismissing the person, but giving ourselves the authority or the permission to say, hey, not right now. Something that we need to preserve within ourselves, that we tell the people that are coming to us, trying to unload on us, because again, my thing is, if you're not, contributing to my best self, then you're probably not contributing to me in a good way. So, I have to separate what works for me and what doesn't. And it goes back to what we've been talking about all along. And with you mentioning most recently, Melissa, we have to manage ourselves differently, so that if we are faced with certain situations, we know when to cut it off. Or like you told your friend, and you were, you said it just kind of came out, but I think our best friends are not afraid to talk to us. And so if we have people that are not honest with us, or we have people that are always, okay, girl, yeah, that's fine, no matter what it is, we have to reevaluate our circles. Because as Renee was mentioning earlier, our village or our support system, we have, in my older day, it has become so much more important to me than before. So it's not so much about the quantity. It is really more about the quality. And so when you recognize that, hey, this ain't what I want in my life, hey, again, it's okay to cut it off. I tell my kids all the time, and I have adult people that, God has gifted me with that I've birthed, and one I inherited through marriage. But I tell my kids all the time, if it's not adding to your space, then it's taken away.
Absolutely.
You have to be okay with severing where you need to sever, because if you don't, you're going to end up bleeding out yourself. That's not okay to you. So if we can offer this in closing, and I let me tell you, I so appreciate speaking about this with both you, Kortni, and Melissa, because you guys have offered some elements in self-care that, one, we may not have thought about for ourselves. And although it may look different for each one of us, I think there's great value in what we have to offer to each other to learn from. Because if it worked for you, it may work for me. Or if you tried it, I try it, it may not work for me, but I may find something that worked for me. Just, so I think us talking about this topic is very necessary. It's very necessary, and it's very warranted. So if you can say anything to anybody that could be watching as an element of encouragement, what would you tell them about self-care?